This is the preparation for this entire situation. There are so many books. Maybe we should do this backwards. Maybe we should do the TBR jar first and then cover what I read. These are not well stacked. In fact, as I was stacking them, I just annoyed myself with how weirdly I stacked them. Like, they're not in order, they're not largest, smallest, they're everywhere. So let's go ahead and let's get into this. Welcome back to another recent reads video where I talk about what I read this month. On this channel, in case you're new, hi, my name is Summer and I talk about books. I go book shopping a lot. I talk about my Kindles and I just do reading vlogs because it's become one of my very favorite things. You can see I have my trusty little TBR jar with me with ones that I really need to read falling off the top here. And then I have a bunch of books that I read this month. And then I have another pile way over there that you can't see that I actually had to take off the table because the table was not working correctly. It like lifts up. It's a table that, it's my coffee table, but you guys can't tell. It lifts up and the hinges were actually kind of like making some weird squeaking sounds because the books were way too heavy with the other TBR stack on it. So stick around for my TBR because it's even bigger than this stack and we'll talk about what I thought of all of these books. Some of them are in here you may have seen on different vlogs, which I'll link down below, and some of them I actually didn't vlog, so this is the first time you're probably seeing them. And the ones I didn't vlog, I talked a little bit more on my Instagram and my TikTok, so definitely make sure that you follow me there. Put those on the screen if you want to see like kind of behind the scenes and stay caught up with what I'm reading as I'm reading it daily. For some reason, it feels like I read way more last month and I actually just had to look at my Goodreads to figure out what I actually read, but here's the first one that I started with. I did not vlog this one. This one is just an annual read for me. This is one of my favorite books in the entire world, and you can see it is well loved. It's the anniversary edition, so it has these really cool pages where it looks like it's old paper and it has this nice just tactile texture when you're reading it. It has, of course, the description, but just feels like it's a hardcover. Like, I kind of like having these and I wish more paperbacks were like that, where it has those little things that you can use as bookmarks. But The Alchemist is a yearly reread for me. So this is not the first time that I have read this book. If you have no idea what The Alchemist is, it is a magical story. I can tell you that much. Every time I read it, I feel like I find something new in this book, and the only way I can describe it is just magical. I feel like wherever I'm at in my life, something stands out and I managed to find some wisdom where I'm like, you know what? It actually is gonna be okay. And it follows a boy named Santiago, and essentially it has the entire universe conspiring in his favor upon a quest. There's a little bit of a twist. If you haven't read The Alchemist, I highly recommend it. The author, Paulo Coelho, I think I'm saying that right, he just released kind of a companion to The Alchemist. I'll put the title right here. I'll put a little picture of it. It is on its way to me right now, and I'm so excited to read it and make it part of my maybe yearly reread. So this one is always a 5-star for me. This, if you have not read The Alchemist, I will leave a link in the description because you have to read it and I must know your opinion. So please leave your opinions in the comments if you have read it, or if you get it and you read it, please come back because I must know if I know I'm not the only one, but I want to know like your personal experiences with this because I feel like everyone has a very unique relationship with this book. The next book that I read this month was Heartless Hunter. This was a book of the month book and I loved it. I had mixed feelings about it like while I was reading it because I loved it for 95% of the way, and then something happened at the end where I had to take some time to process it. So after processing, I am very excited. This is also called The Crimson Moth, as you can see, some other countries. So I have the United States version. That is the book of the month version. So for me, it's called Heartless Hunter, but I have seen other people review it and their cover is different and it just says The Crimson Moth. So some people's might be a little bit of a different cover, but I think this one is really pretty. It's actually much prettier in real life than I think the camera is giving it justice for. But basically, this book is, as you can see, an enemies to lovers trope. And it is about a witch who has a lot of secrets that unfold. She's trying to figure out how to free a bunch of other witches. Witchcraft has been banned in their world, and she has to try and figure out how to free them. The guy that she ends up kind of having an enemies to possibly lovers situation, I don't want to spoil anything, with is actually one of the witch hunters. There are two brothers. It's a little bit, if you like Vampire Diaries and you kind of like the Salvatore brothers, you would definitely like this. This one you'll see me read in the cabin reading vlog if you want to check that one out. I'll leave all the vlogs below of everywhere that I vlog these different books because it's kind of fun, I think, for you to be able to see those if you haven't. This one I took to the cabin and it was kind of like a Pirates of the Caribbean almost vibe. It's interesting because it's not like that at all, but I don't know why it gave me that vibe. If anyone else has read it, let me know if you kind of had that as well. Maybe it's because there was like some sailing mentioned. I don't know. I really like the world building in here, and this was a 5-star for me as well. So I can't wait to read book 2 whenever it comes out, which will probably be a while. I love this one. The next book I read was A Fate Inked in Blood. This one's like a Viking romantasy. Ooh. It's a Viking romantasy, I would say. And I love this author. I love the Bridge Kingdom. I need to finish that series, and I was expecting to love this one. It's a gorgeous book, and it has these like really pretty blue edges. You can see exactly where I stopped was right here. What page was it? I stopped on page 189 in case you want to go check on your book and see what was happening. I don't know. I just wasn't loving it so much. I accidentally got spoiled for what happened in the end, so I don't know whether I should keep reading because I feel like I would like what happened. I just wasn't in love with it. I know so many people are loving it, and so I wouldn't let that deter you. I might go back to it. I want to know your thoughts on this one in the comments too, because this one seems to be very polarizing. So if you liked this book, let me know. If you didn't like this book, let me know. If it's still on your TBR list, I might come back to it. For right now, I can't give it a rating because it was putting me into a reading slump and I had to get out. This book I read during a snowstorm, and I have an entire vlog dedicated to this one as well because it became kind of an inside joke on my channel that I really needed to read Bride, and I had to get the physical copy. It's actually kind of funny that I have the physical copy for every single one that I have read this month because normally that's not the case. Normally I do a lot of reading on my Kindle. I think this is the first month where I just so happen to have every single one, which is pretty cool. I like being able to hold them and show them to you, and it's just nice to be able to flip through. So I loved Bride. This was a 5-star for me. If you like Twilight, if you specifically liked the 7-Year Slip, this one kind of gave me like paranormal fantasy vibes of that. Like Ali Hazelwood's writing reminded me of that book a little bit. I haven't really enjoyed a ton of Ali Hazelwood books just because I haven't ventured out there yet. But after reading Bride, I definitely might, because this was seriously one of my favorite books in recent memory. I was laughing. I was very, very attached to the characters. I started a 24-hour reading challenge while I was doing this, and I'll link that vlog too. I don't know if it'll be out by the time that I publish this. That one, I had to finish it. And I was like, if I'm already starting to just sit here and read for 3 hours, I might as well start the clock for a 24-hour reading challenge. So I finished this one pretty quickly, and there was also a snowstorm. It was a whole thing. I had to go hunt for this because I wanted the physical copy because, I don't know if you can see it all, but it's just a really pretty book. The way that it looks different in different lighting. You can kind of see like the lines on the wolf as well and the trees. So I loved Bride. Again, it was about a vampire and a were. It was a very like Romeo and Juliet type paranormal situation where they're forced to get married as a political alliance, and then all these other things ensued. And what was really cool about this book is that I liked the side characters. Sometimes I feel like side characters don't help, or they're just not really supporting as they should support, but they didn't carry because I loved the main characters. But the supporting characters, I wanted more of them. And I'm hoping that Ali Hazelwood kind of set us up for a book 2. So I'm really hoping that she might do it with a couple of the side characters, and we shall see. So that was a 5-star for me. I loved Bride. Next, during my 24-hour reading challenge, I read The Fine Print by Lauren Asher, and I have very quickly become a Lauren Asher person. I've seen a lot of people reading them on booktube and booktok and bookstagram, and I wanted to read them, and I love Disneyland. I wouldn't consider myself a Disney adult in the bad sense, but I do love Disneyland and I love just whimsical things. And this was a chunk of a book, but it really didn't feel as though it was a chunk of a book. It went by really quickly. I love Lauren Asher's writing, and I can't wait to read more by her, specifically the other brothers in this series, and then also her Love Redesigned series that's coming out with the second one very soon. So this is about a book. This is a book about three brothers who have to follow the instructions of their grandfather, who was the founder of Dreamland, which is basically Disneyland, and they each have to do certain things in order to get their shares, and they are billionaires. It's just pretty out there. It was very Grumpy Sunshine, I will say. It went by, like I said, it went by really quickly. I think it took me like 6 hours to read during my 24-hour reading challenge. This was the next book that I read after Bride during those 24 hours. And honestly, this got me through because I feel like it was just an easy read. It was fun. I felt like I was at Disneyland, and I can't wait to read the other ones. The next book that I read during that 24-hour reading challenge was None of This Is True. I can genuinely say that I'm not entirely sure what was true after reading the entire book. This was a book of the month one, and I looked for this everywhere. There was a vlog, I think it was the This Video Ends When I Find a 5-Star Read, where I went to like 4 stores looking for this book. And then I got it from Book of the Month because they sent me like a free book of the year. I wanted this so badly. It's about 2 women who have the same birthday, and they're birthday twins, and they end up being on a podcast together called Hello, It's My Birthday Twin, or something like that. Or Hello, I'm Your Birthday Twin, because that was the first word that, like the first sentence that one of them said to the other. And so they start talking and uncovering things about each other's lives, and then things just get crazy. And when I finished this book, like it was just twist upon twist upon twist upon twist. I feel like I'm so used to reading Frida McFadden that I kind of understand how those go. This one was a little bit more difficult to read than a Frida, but I still liked it. I think I would give this a 3.5 or a 4-star just because I feel like some of it didn't need to happen. And then I also, this could be a me thing, but I completely misunderstood the backstory of one of the characters, and I went like half of the book thinking one thing was true, and I told my friend who had read it, and she was like, no, I don't think that's part of the story. So I ended up thinking that it was way twistier than it actually was, and I think that may have contributed to it. So overall, I probably would say, due to my mistake on that, I would give it a 4-star, just because I was like so flabbergasted that I felt like I almost didn't enjoy it because it was just so many twists and turns. But if you are a thriller person, I would recommend this to you because you probably would not see some of the twists coming. And I'm curious if other people have read this one, if you saw the twists coming, if you didn't. I still am not sure what was true. I might have to read it again. It's one of those where like everything changes so much throughout the book that I kind of forgot the first half. And if I read it again, I might rate it even higher, but it was a wild ride. And it was also during my 24-hour reading challenge, so my brain felt like mush and I wasn't sure about anything. It was a wild experience. The next book that I read this month, but I didn't vlog, was What the River Knows. This was also a book of the month, and I put this one down in December. I think I got it in November, and then I put it down in December because I just wasn't obsessed with it. I am obsessed with the concept though. It's like all about Egypt. It's set in like the 1920s, I think. It's very mummy-esque, and so I was like, sign me up. This is exactly what I would like to read. And it follows a mystery of a girl whose parents went missing in Egypt while they were kind of exploring, and she wants to go to Egypt to find them. I loved the culture in this book. I loved the words. I loved the way that it was advertised and packaged. The actual book left a lot to be desired, and it made me honestly just want to watch the Mummy movie. There's a second one coming out in, I actually don't know when, but sometime this year. I think it's coming out in October or November, called What the Library Hides. And I think that the reason I didn't love this as much was because it's a little bit more YA than I was expecting. So I actually think that like 16-year-old me would have completely loved this and given it a 5-star rating. But now, me a few years later, I'm not in love with it. So I'm not even sure what I would rate this, but if you have read this, I'm really curious about your thoughts, just because it's like exactly what I would want. So if there are any books that kind of give this vibe that you would recommend, please leave them in the comments, because I would like to read something of that genre. And maybe I'll just go watch The Mummy. So combined, I read 6 books this month. Let me add up the pages. Okay, I just did the math and added up all of these page numbers, and it came out to 2,172 pages, most of which, or half of which, was done during my 24-hour reading challenge. So honestly, over 2,000 pages, I'm pretty proud of myself for the last month. Okay, swapping those out for books that I could possibly read next month, because as we all know, I have big plans, but I'm often just a mood reader. So the first one that I have is a book of the month thriller that so many of you have suggested to me. I know, Kelly, I know you love this one. So if anyone else has any good thoughts about this one will be read quite soon. It's a thriller, and we all know that I love thrillers and fantasy and romantasy and romance the most. So we will be adding that one quite soon. We'll see if it happens this month or not. Another hopeful is Dune, and I even have like annotation supplies to annotate Dune because I read it when I was a teenager and I haven't read it since, and the movies just came out obviously, so I kind of wanted to read that again and just see some of the differences. It is kind of a chunk of a book, but if I remember right, it goes by pretty quickly. Probably not if I'm annotating it, but we'll see if I get to that this month. I kind of want to keep it relevant and do it soon, but I also don't want to force myself into reading it because then I will get into another slump. The next hopeful that I have is When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. This one I've seen really mixed reviews on, so if you have read this one, please let me know. This one is so heavy. It's also on Kindle Unlimited in case you want to read it there. I'm going to do an entire video on Kindle Unlimited. I don't know if it'll be out before or after this one, but I will link it below whenever I record it, or just make sure you're subscribed to see when that one comes out. But I'm going to do an entire video on Kindle Unlimited books because Kindle Unlimited has added so many recently, and I could add a lot of those to this, but I feel like I will just make an entirely separate video on Kindle Unlimited recommendations and hopefuls. This one was actually gifted to me by a subscriber, so thank you so much, Kara, again for this one. I really want to read this one, and I also had someone reach out to me on Instagram and say that they had just read this one. I just messaged them back as I'm filming this, so I haven't heard back to see if they liked it, but I know that a lot of people have been reading this one. It actually, the reason that Kara sent it to me was because it came out of my TBR jar last month, and then I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna read it or not, and she loved it so much that she wanted me to read it, so I'm definitely gonna try and get this one in my hopefuls. Again, I'm such a mood reader, but it's so pretty to have on my shelf, and I know that I'm going to love it based on the description. So that is again on one of my hopefuls. This one is on Kindle Unlimited as well. Speaking of Kindle Unlimited, I got these at Target because they were so pretty, and it also looked like they might have been rebranding the covers. I saw something that I was scared about, and I didn't want to have not matching covers. That didn't make any sense. I didn't want to have non-matching covers with the other one. This one is actually quite heavy. What is going on in this third book? So this is the second book in the fine print series, and this is the third, or I guess the Dreamland Billionaires, and these are the other two brothers, so they have to figure out how to accomplish their tasks to get their billionaire shares from Dreamland, and these are also hopefuls. I don't have Nightbane with me because I'm waiting for the paperback to come out so it'll match Lightlark. I really want to read Nightbane. Realm Breaker by Victoria Aveyard just came out on Kindle Unlimited, so I really want to read that one. I'm trying to think of other books on my Kindle that I'm reading. Oh, I'm reading Caraval right now, which you'll see in the vlogs or the next video. Caraval? I keep saying Caraval, but I think it's Caraval by Stephanie Garber because I really wanted to read that before I read the Curse for True Love / Once Upon a Broken Heart series. So that's what I'm reading right now. And these are my hopefuls / options for next month. And I'm trying to have a book buying ban, but as we all know, I am notoriously bad at having a book buying ban. And if you are also bad at having a book buying ban, please like this video so I know I'm not alone. Okay, if the TBR jar was going to tell me, and by the way, I made this in a video a while ago, so you can go find that if you are interested, but it's color coded by genre. And let's just pull a couple out and see what the jar would recommend. And if it's any of these, then I'll know it's meant to be. And otherwise, I will just have them in the back of my mind. Okay, a Frida McFadden. I haven't read Frida. Oh my gosh, I didn't read any Frida this month. That's wild. I'm always reading Frida. So this one is The Coworker, and it's on Kindle Unlimited. Wow, I've really been talking about a lot of Kindle Unlimited, so I guess I'll have to do that video pretty soon. But I have been wanting to read The Coworker, so we'll see. Let's do one more. Let's do... Okay, this purple one is standing out to me. And Serpent and the Wings of Night, which is also on Kindle Unlimited. Okay, well, these are all ones that I really wanted to read, so I guess you will have to subscribe and check back to see if I managed to read any or all of these. Maybe I will do another 24-hour reading challenge. I'll keep the reading vlogs coming. Let me know if there's like a specific type of reading vlog that you want to see, like if you liked the 24-hour reading challenge, or this video ends when I find a 5-star book. I might actually do that one again. Let me know if you like that in the comments, or if you just like the regular weekly reading vlogs, because I would love to know if I should switch it up, if there are any other things that I should do. I think I also am going to do one where I show you how many pages I realistically read, because I also have a 9-to-5 and then I also have another job. So with all of my jobs and the classes that I'm taking, it is a big task to read, but I genuinely love it so much. And I have really enjoyed getting to meet so many people from YouTube and talk to them about books. And this truly has been quite a lot of work, but an incredible dream at the same time. I know I just used the same word twice in the same sentence, but that is how amazing it has been. So thank you to every single person who has watched my videos, subscribed, liked, commented. You have no idea how excited I get whenever I get a comment notification and I get to chat with one of you. So please, please, please keep the comments coming. And I did hit 500 subscribers this past month. So I am just kind of in disbelief about how many subscribers wanted to stay and watch me read my books, because I would be doing this anyway, and I just love sharing it with you and getting to talk to you about your favorite books as well. So thank you so much again for your support, and I will see you in my next video.